In a world where it's fashionable to hate popular movies, it is really hard to keep your mind straight and not pay attention to the opinion of the public. So imagine my surprise when I watched SHAZAM, Fury of the Gods, and I had to agree with the audience. This movie ended up being not bad, but much worse than what I expected. So please stay with me because I really want to talk about it. Roll the intro. Remember that if you like the video, leave a like, a comment and subscribe to my channel because it would help me a lot. Having said that, let's get back to the video. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, it is really easy to hate on something just because it's popular to hate it, basically applying the Nickelback effect, in which a lot of people hate something but don't really know why. But in the case of SHAZAM Fury of the Gods, I waited an entire month to watch it, and there's a good reason for that. You see, I actually like superhero movies and I don't suffer the syndrome of superhero fatigue as a lot of people suffer. However, it was this case where the trailer itself made me not want to watch the movie to begin with. Maybe it's just my personal opinion, but is it just me or DC does not know how to make trailers? In just a short period of time, they've already told you the entire story of the movie. And let me tell you, if you haven't watched the movie, don't worry, watch the trailer, you already know what happens. But if I had to say something about this movie, is that it is not bad, it is not boring, it is something worse, it's annoying. I have not felt annoyed by a movie ever since Captain Marvel, but don't get me wrong, these are movies annoying for different reasons. In the case of Captain Marvel, it's because of the character itself portrayed by Brie Larson, who, ironically, I think it's an amazing actress, but for this role specifically, and her everyday life, basically speaking, she is the most obnoxious and unlikable person ever. In the case of SHAZAM, however, it's a completely different story. We're talking about a movie that actually had a plot, a somewhat interesting story, but it just keeps on going and going and going with the jokes. If you thought that Marvel was the circus of the superhero movies, believe me, SHAZAM topped the notch to 11. I am not the kind of guy that hates a superhero movie for having jokes here and there because it makes the characters somewhat relatable. It makes them feel more human, more close to home. But in the case of SHAZAM, it actually distracts you from the plot. There's moments where the humor just doesn't fit, and that is the entire movie. Let me rephrase that. There's not a single joke in the movie that lands accordingly. It is so easy, again, to hate something because it's popular to hate it. And I read many articles and many opinions saying that SHAZAM is a horrible movie. So it took me a month to watch it until it was released on HBO, and when I watched it, I was distracted the entire time. Not just by the jokes, but because I kept thinking about other things. If a movie does not manage to capture your attention while you're watching it, then we've got a huge problem there. And maybe it is just me, but a lot of the characters do not seem to feel any sort of chemistry among each other. There's so many moments where the acting is so bad, and it's not because of the actors per se, at least in my opinion. I think it was a directing choice. There's moments where you just don't feel like they want to be there to begin with. You know what I mean? And if the counter-argument for this is to say that this is a continuation of the first movie, therefore it tries to replicate the same chemistry, let me tell you something. In the first movie, I can accept the kind of humor and the kind of world building that they were going for. After all, we're talking about a little kid learning how to be a superhero. But in this case, in this specific case, all the characters are in their late teenage years or adults. Therefore, I don't feel like they should behave the way they do. As a matter of fact, there's scenes with Billy Batson in his young, normal self where he acts more adult than his SHAZAM form. So I don't understand how the adult sounds more like an idiot than the kid himself. It's like it doesn't fit, and there's moments where they should be somewhat of a danger sensation where it just feels odd, awkward, and like the humor is put there on purpose just to distract the audience. And it's I don't know how to describe it. I'm out of words because of how tedious the movie felt, and it's too long for its own good. It's not even a movie that you say it's so bad it's good, it's just plain annoying. It's like you're wasting your time. And I am not a hater of DC. As a matter of fact, I actually praised a lot of things from The Flash. If there's anything good that I can say about this movie is that the majority of the CG looks somewhat good. When it comes to the plot itself, it's basically a good presentation without substance, but then the presentation goes to shit because it's just a bad dish. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt to this movie and say that there was a lot of changes in the middle and somewhat of, I don't know, maybe changes in the middle that forced the movie to be completely different from the original product, but I just can't bear it. You know, when you actually try your hardest to find something good within the movie, but at the end of the day, it just ends up being a complete flop. Well, this is the case. Again, I watched The Flash and I watched this movie, and let me tell you, I even watched Black Adam, and even Black Adam, as flat as it is for a movie, it was more entertaining than this. This movie, it's grasping the realm of moronic. I'm sorry for using that term, but seriously, it's a moronic movie. It has no charm, it has no character development, and a lot of the chemistry between the characters feels odd. I don't know how to describe it. There's some tear-jerking moments here and there, just like any family movie whatsoever, but it's not worth your time. Also, does it add anything to the DCU? No. It does not. So if you happen to not watch this movie for whatever reason, don't worry, you're not missing a thing. Even the after credits scene do not add anything because it basically replicates the same credits scene from the first movie. Yeah, remember that weird worm at the end of the first movie? Well, it appears again with Mark Strong, and he says, "I got a plan, it's everything almost ready, but I'll tell you in the next movie." And you're like, did I actually stay? Sorry, I never stayed in the fucking cinema here. Did I actually skip everything just to watch this piece of shit? It's this annoying. I can understand that for the long term they are trying to revive the DC extended universe, but for this movie to be this bad, to be this annoying, simply leaves a bad taste in my mouth, you know what I mean? And what makes it even worse is that I came from watching Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which as a movie alone, that it's not necessarily connected to the Marvel Extended Universe, it works amazingly well as a standalone movie. Here, you cannot even watch it. I believe that the only reason this movie exists is because it's to remind people that SHAZAM actually exists somehow, and that it's part of the DC Extended Universe that was raised by Zack Snyder. But still, you watch the movie and you don't feel like it fits in the DC Extended Universe. Listen, I understand that you may not like the vision that Zack Snyder had for Superman and how that affected Batman, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman, yada yada. However, you cannot deny that there's a universe built there. There is an identity. There is something that was supposed to be big, and SHAZAM just doesn't fit. Also, there's a cameo by Wonder Woman, played by Gal Gadot, of course, and even the cameo seems forced as shit. It's like she appears out of nowhere with her repetitive and overused OST just to say there is still a goddess, and then she basically fixes everything. Because, I mean, I'm gonna spoil you at the end of the day. Who cares? You're not gonna watch it if you're watching this video. And if you actually want to watch it, pause the video right now and go watch it and then get disappointed. Basically, SHAZAM dies. And then they bury him. And then, since they don't have the power of the gods anymore, basically Wonder Woman appears and says, "Oh, there is actually a goddess still around here," and then she basically touches the staff and then SHAZAM revives. It's like the only meaningful death of the entire movie has absolutely no impact in the story because it was like, oh no, a magician did it. Why did I even watch this movie to begin with? There's no character development, there is no reason for it to exist, it doesn't add anything to the universe whatsoever, so if you can watch it, please don't. Sorry for being this much of an asshole here, but I'm telling you, you are not gonna miss anything. If there was a silver lining in this movie, I would say it to you. A lot of people would say a lot of bad things about this movie, but pay attention. No, this is not the case. There is nothing to say it here. There is nothing to highlight. If anything, avoid this movie. It will be a waste of your time. That was all I can say about this movie. Sorry again for being so negative, but it's been a while since I watched a movie this bad. This has been Juano, and thank you for watching. This is so boring that I stopped paying attention 5 minutes ago.